In news from Jamaica, the People's National Party (PNP) has candidly accepted that their refusal to participate in the national political debates undermined their chances of securing a second term in office. That was among the crucial findings of the 13-member appraisal committee that was tasked with the responsibility of investigating the factors that led to the party's demise at the February 25 general elections. The post-election review committee was led by Member of Parliament for South East St. Andrew, Julian Robinson. At a press conference on Thursday, Mr. Robinson noted that unresolved candidate selection and the failure of the PNP to clearly articulate its core philosophy were among the major pitfalls.
Among the findings is that, as indicated by post-election polls and focus groups, the decision not to participate in the national debate was a fatal error. It contributed to the impression that the party was arrogant and took the electorate for granted. Our findings also indicate that there was a breakdown of trust among elements of the leadership leading into the campaign. This was never resolved and led to the campaign being dysfunctional and divided.
The post-election review committee concedes that the party spent too much time arguing about the size of then opposition leader Andrew Holness's house and whether the funds sourced to construct his Beverly Hills St. Andrew mansion were legitimate. PNP campaign director Dr. Peter Phillips had raised the issue, calling on Mr. Holness to declare his finances to the Integrity Commission of Parliament.
It was exacerbated by the decision to raise the issue of the then opposition leader's house during the campaign. There are some who felt also that the party had deviated from its core philosophy, and there was also no effective counter to the JLP's 1.5 million tax proposal. Finally, it was clear that the party's organization was not election ready due to low worker morale, unresolved candidate selection issues, problematic issues between some members of parliament and councillors, among other challenges.
So who should be blamed for the party's errors that saw the PNP suffering a bitter defeat to the Jamaica Labour Party JLP? The JLP secured a marginal victory of 32 seats to the PNP's 31 parliamentary seats. Mr. Robinson says it wasn't the mandate of the review committee to lay blame. However, he made it clear that it was the campaign committee led by Dr. Peter Phillips that made the decision not to participate in the national debates.
Our mandate was not to get into which person is responsible for that, for what. Our mandate was to identify what the weaknesses were, to ensure that systems are put in place to prevent the same kinds of mistakes from taking place, and that as we move forward with a recognition of some of those errors. But it wasn't our mandate to say person X or person Y should be held responsible for X or Y. That wasn't our mandate.
Meanwhile, Mr. Robinson wouldn't say definitively whether fractions in the party have been calling for party leader Portia Simpson-Miller to step down in light of the party's shock defeat, along with chief personnel in the campaign machinery, including General Secretary Paul Burke. However, he argues that the PNP remains a democratic party and members' comments will be considered.
We are going through a process. We have presented our recommendations and our findings to the executive. There are other layers within the party that will have access to the report. I think the party has to make a determination once that internal consultation takes place about how it moves forward. Obviously, individuals will have views about that particular issue and how those issues should be treated. We are not taking a position as a committee on that specifically, right? Because it's not a part of our mandate. But I know clearly individuals within the party have a right and have expressed different views on that. And the party is a democratic one. It's one where persons who hold particular positions, those positions come up for renewal, and persons are subject to the will of the delegates, and the delegates can determine based on their own wisdom the extent to which they believe persons should or should not be held accountable.
The recommendations put forward by the post-election review committee include the implementation of a pilot program to reform the role of the party's groups and the need for the PNP to reaffirm its core philosophy and communicate its policies and ideas clearly.